Hello, welcome to Edexcel demola, and today's lesson we're going to be learning all about amount of substance. So we're going to go through a bit of basic calculations and we're going to do a bit of terminology. Really hope this helps. Really long topic, so we're going to break it down into parts. We'll do more videos on it. Let's get started. Okay, so the most important thing about this topic is going to be your definitions. Alright, so many definitions to get through. We're going to go through it now. Whenever we say amount of a substance, we're talking about how much of something we have by the number of particles. So really important, we're talking about by the number of particles, and I'm going to quickly just highlight it here. Talking about the number of particles that we have. Now, a mole. Now guys, this is literally my 10 out of 10 perfect definition for a mole. You're kind of doing a bit too much with this definition, but if you get this completely down, whenever they ask you in the exam, you're going to be completely fine. And it's the amount of a substance containing the same number of particles as are in 12 grams of carbon-12, which is 6.02 times 10 to the 23. Say that in the exam, they've got no problem with you. Cool. Avogadro's constant, 6.02 times 10 to the 23. Just know it. You're going to have that in your data sheet as well. That's literally representative of the number of particles in 1 mole of a substance, yeah? Cool. Your molar mass is the mass of 1 mole of a substance, or your molar gas volume is the volume occupied by 1 mole of gas under standard conditions. And you can see that you have all of these definitions just listed out here for you to remember. Now, the next thing to remember is you've got a lot of formulas. And to be honest, it might seem a bit daunting now, but I promise you, as you keep doing your formulas, you're going to just remember them, yeah? So now, mass equals molar mass times number of moles, concentration equals mass over volumes, etc. The key one to remember is going to be your ideal gas equation. Forgive me, I don't remember if it's in your data sheet, but it is PV equals nRT, P being pressure, V being volume, N number of moles, R the gas constant, which is definitely on your data sheet, and T being temperature. Something that actually does catch people out, just know units. So pressure's in pascals, volume's actually in meters cubed, which is a bit abnormal, and your temperature's in Kelvin. Cool. So literally in this lesson, we are just going through how to use these formulas, yeah? We've defined the terms, now let's look at how to use them. So example 1, how many moles are there in 50 grams of calcium carbonate? And we've given the molar mass of calcium carbonate as 100 grams per mole. Now, formulas. We need to see what we want and what we have. We have mass, we have molar mass, and what we want to find out is moles. So we're going to use this formula, mass equals molar mass times number of moles. Cool. We rearrange it, yeah? Think back to your mass. We rearrange this equation. We're going to have the number of moles is equal to the mass divided by the molar mass. Now, let's input our values. Our mass was 50 grams. Our molar mass was 100 grams per mole. We're going to do moles to the minus 1. Put that into the equation, you get 0.5 moles as your answer. Hope that makes sense. So 0.5 moles would be your answer here. Now, let's do example 2, gas at room temperature and pressure. Now, note, really important to remember, room temperature is 25 degrees Celsius or 298 Kelvin, whereas the standard pressure is going to be 100 kilopascals. Cool. So at room temperature, 1 mole of a gas is equal to 24 dm cubed per mole. Really important that you remember 24 dm cubed per mole is going to be 1 mole of a gas at room temperature and room pressure. So let's go into a question. What is the volume of 0.75 moles of hydrogen gas at room temperature and pressure? Now, what equation are we using? We're going to be using that moles is equal to the volume divided by the molar gas volume, or that volume is equal to moles times molar gas volume when we rearrange it because we're trying to figure out the volume. I kind of don't even remember this formula. What I tend to do is to remember, if you see the units here, dm cubed per mole, that's how I know that the moles is going to be equal to the volume divided. So that, yeah, the moles is equal to the moles divided by the molar gas volume. That's kind of how I remember. So I look at the formula and I kind of work from there. Cool. Sorry about that stutter. Now, let's look here. What can we gather from this? Well, we know we want to get the volume. So we've got the moles, 0.75. The molar gas volume, we're always going to have in a question like this. We always know it's going to be 24. We do that, and then you get 18 decimeters cubed. Remember, units is really important for this topic, yeah? So decimeters cubed. Okay, so we've got a couple more examples to go through as well. Let's look at one for concentration. How many moles of sodium chloride is in 250 centimeters cubed over 0.5 mole per dm cubed solution? So, fantastic, we got our equation. Moles is equal to concentration times volume. Okay. That's already in the formula, no need to rearrange. Now, guys, this one catches so many people out. Make sure you don't fall for it. Centimeters cubed, dm cubed. Yeah, so you can see we need to do a conversion at this point. So I'm going to do 250. We're going to divide it by 1,000 so that we can get to dm cubed. We get 0.25 dm cubed. Now we got that. We can then use our equation, right? So you can see the concentration 0.5 times the volume 0.25. We get 0.125 moles. Okay, happy with that. Now let's continue on. Cool. We're going to look at ideal gas equation. So 0.25 mole sample of a gas is set at a pressure of 100 kilopascals and a temperature of 27 degrees. What is its volume? Answer in centimeters cubed. Okay. We got our formula, PV equals nRT. And then we rearrange for volume. Yeah. Again, think back to your GCSE maths. Rearrange for volume. Volume is equal to the number of moles multiplied by the gas constant times the temperature over pressure. Here, conversions, guys. If you're ever converting, so that's a mistake. To get from degrees Celsius to Kelvin, you just add 273. Yeah? So 27 plus 273 is going to be 300. Cool. And also, we're in kilopascals, we need it in pascals, so we need to times by 1,000, get 100,000 pascals. Okay, use the formula. So we're going to say that V is equal to the number of moles in the question, 0.25, multiplied by the gas constant, always going to be the same. Look into your formula book, 8.314, multiplied by the temperature we said is 300. All that over 100,000. And thankfully, we've got a calculator with us, so we're going to type it in. We're going to say 0.25 times 8.314 times 300, all over 100,000. And you're going to get the answer, 6.2355 times 10 to minus 3. Now, I'm such a big advocate for keeping the answer for not rounding until you have your final answer. Really big advocate for that. What we can do now is we need to convert this to centimeters cubed, because now it's in meters cubed if we look at our formula. So we're going to do this. We're going to times it by 1 times 10 to the 6. That's going to help you to do it. So if we times by 1 times 10 to the 6, we get our answer, 6235.5 centimeters cubed. And what I might just do is I might look in the question. The question's used 2 significant figures, so I'm also going to use 2 significant figures. 2 if I don't really need to, but I could leave my answer like this and it would be fine. I could probably also leave my answer just like that and it would also be fine. Okay, so I appreciate it was a different kind of lesson today, just because a lot of this is more calculation based. So we've got more questions for you to try. Similar to what we've already done, make sure you're happy with the technique. Pause the video, take a few moments to answer these questions, and we'll get into it. Okay, so now we have the answers to all the questions. Okay, again, we're pretty much doing something really, really similar to what we had already done. So if you look at question 1, we've done questions like this. They've given you the mass. We need to find the number of moles. So use the molar mass. Mass divided by molar mass equals number of moles. 0.5 is the answer. Cool. That's question 1. Question 2, I wanted to do something that was a bit more multi-step, right? So you have to use 2 of the different equations. First of all, we need to use that mass is equal to moles times molar mass. I am proposing to do a video in the future where I'm going to go more into depth in terms of these questions. How do I approach it as a student? But you can see here, we've got the moles. We know what the molar mass is, so we can find the mass. That's the first part of getting that mass concentration. Then, now we have the mass. We need to divide that by the volume, which was given in the question. We get that concentration. Cool. Question 4 again. If you know the formula, you can get this quite easily, right? Question 5 here. Again, multi-step, right? Multi-step again. First of all, we needed to use the mass equals moles times molar mass. Why? We've got the molar mass. We've got the, sorry, what am I talking about? We need to do the concentration one first. So we need to find the number of moles, right? The moles is equal to the concentration multiplied by the volume. Cool. Again, conversion. We needed to convert that 250 centimeters cubed into 0.25 dm cubed. Like I said, this can catch people out quite easily, right? When you do that, you get the number of moles, you times it by the molar mass, you get your mass, yeah? Final one,
we're using that formula, the PV equals nRT. Rearrange it for volume. Do exactly what we did before. Note this time we're going to dm cubed. You get your answer. Okay, and as we approach the end of this lesson, it is time for the A-star tips. So, what do I want you to do? Guys, know the formulas, literally. All of these formulas, I wouldn't say any of them are crazy complicated to a point where it's going to be difficult to remember. As you practice these questions, you are going to get more of an appreciation for the formula. You'll just end up remembering it. Cool. Periodic table. I think for a lot of these questions, I gave you the molecular mass anyway, or the molar mass. But sometimes you are going to need to use the periodic table. Just be happy with finding these elements and adding them together so you can get your molecular mass. I believe we covered it in a previous video. Now, got to split the questions up. Like I said, I do want to do a video in the future about how I approach questions, right? But if you split the questions up into steps, you're going to be able to better comprehend what the question wants you to do, if that makes sense. So if you do it in steps, instead of thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to get to this point? That's going to help you out so much. Data sheet, guys. I don't know why. Some people just seem to forget that the data sheet is there. Use the data sheet. It's literally to help you. If you're not sure what the gas constant is, just check. So I'd also say being aware of what's actually in the data sheet is actually going to be really helpful. But just use it, guys. Conversions, so important, guys. So important. I've put all of them here. Be happy with how to convert between centimeters cubed to dm cubed, or dm cubed to meters cubed, centimeters cubed to meter cubed. Just be so happy with how to do that, because it is really important when you get these volume questions. What do you not want to do? Guys, look at the unit. So many people don't look at the units, don't convert, they lose marks because they didn't convert. And if you look at mark schemes, you're going to see they have like alternative answers for when people didn't convert their answers, didn't convert their units. Guys, do not be one of the people who don't miss out on the mark because you didn't convert the units. Mixing up the formulas as well happens. Guys, I just need you to remember which formula is which, yeah? Because you don't normally get all of these formulas. I am such a big advocate for, guys, do not round early, please. Just, you can use the answer button on your calculator, literally. Use the answer button on your calculator. You don't need to be rounding early because it can lead to mistakes, or you end up not getting the right answer at the end. And then also, do not neglect for number of moles. For like the definition of moles is what I mean. Just remember the definition, because if it comes up, you can get 1-2 marks just because you remember the definition. So they're good marks to pick up. Okay, hope that video was really helpful. We've covered amount of substances. Like I said, in the future, I want to go more into how to really approach the questions. But as for now, please subscribe, like the video if you found it helpful. Drop some comments below. I'll do my best to answer, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.